If you ask random people who authored the Bible, there will be two answers. It's either God or man. And people who say God look at those who say men as though they were heretics. But what if I told you that the two answers are correct and God and men worked hand in gloves to accomplish the book we now know as the Bible? Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. What does inspiration mean within the context of biblical authorship? Now let me paint a picture to explain for you. If I told you to go to the market and record in written form everything you see happening in the market, you can say I inspired you to write the accounts of the events of the market. However, I may not have directly influenced every action that may have taken place in the market. Let's say two people happen to fight in the market and you record it. I didn't cause them to fight, but I inspired you to take that into account. That's how biblical inspiration works. God told selected men to write the accounts of their day, but not everything that happened was really inspired by God. Yes, there are places that God really got involved in the actions, but not everything that happened in the Bible was caused by God. It would do you so much good to know the difference between what God caused and what God allowed. Now back to my allegory. I may have inspired you to take into account the events of the marketplace, but I wouldn't choose the writing style or grammatical structure for you. However you choose to convey the message would be all on you. That is why we have different authors in the Bible with different tones and different emotions in their writing. I mean, the book of Psalms sounds very different from the book of Genesis because the two authors are very different people with very different writing style. And not just writing styles and grammar, but also characteristics of the authors would be seen in the books. Let's use Elijah for an example. If Elijah had a book of the Bible written by him, you would clearly see anger written all over it. God may not have endorsed the anger or vulgarism, but God worked with the people he had to pass a message he really wanted to pass. Wisdom in Bible study is knowing when to sieve out God's intent from the characteristics of the writer. Elijah might write God's message with an undertone of anger because of how Elijah saw the world at that time, but God's intent could be showing mercy and kindness to his people. One thing biblical authorship would teach you is that God always needs men to carry out his will on earth, and most of those men will be terribly flawed. Not that he wants it that way, but that's all he has to work with. Remember, all men are flawed, so God works with what he has. I hope this helps you. Now share it with a friend.